Welcome back, everyone, to the After the Scales podcast, episode 38, presented by DJD Graphics. I'm Jacob Dove of Phenom Motorsports, along with Shaun Blight of Canadian Racing Tours. And on today's episode, we're pretty excited to have one of the hottest upcoming 360 car drivers out of Canada, NICK SHERIDAN. Nick, thanks for being on the podcast today. We really look forward to talking with you, and we appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, thank you, boys, for having me. It's a pleasure to be on After the Scales.
And you're coming off of a pretty cool accomplishment. You pulled double duty, running not only at Fulton, but also Humberstone in the same day. That's a pretty cool deal. I think Kyle Larson wasn't able to do his double duty. So you're able to do that. Two different countries. You finished third at Fulton, sixth at Humberstone. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, it's a pretty awesome feat for sure. It feels pretty cool to be doing that. When we ran there at Fulton, it was the early mornings. We were there Friday night and had a great run there, running third, and everything was awesome. There was a lot of good cars down there, and we were pretty good. I think we might have been able to get a second place out of it, but a lot of guys were running the real extreme outside there. It's just a track I'm not super comfortable with yet, so I was just kind of feeling stuff out and floating my line. And we brought home third, which was awesome, and very thankful for all the ESS staff and everyone on that tour there for making sure we got out of there as quickly as possible to make it back to the double on time. And we came right in from the front stretch and shoved the car right in the trailer, closed the door, and headed off west. So it was pretty cool. Humberstone was a pretty good race. We just we missed the setup a bit for the feature, and we dropped a few spots early until I kind of learned how to mask the car not handling very well. So once we got clawed back up, we were getting better at the end, but it was a pretty awesome day, pretty busy day. I was pretty tired on Sunday for sure. But it's some awesome two countries in the same day. A lot of people do the double in the same country, but Jordan Poirier and I both did two countries in the same day. I don't think all people can say that. So that's pretty awesome.
So I watched you roll in. You were a bit later than all the other cars, obviously, crossing the border and everything. How much time did you have to get ready? What kind of changes did you have to make to your car to get ready for a different track conditions, and all that kind of thing?
Yeah, we had about an hour and 20 minutes, I believe, till heating the motors when we pulled in there. And I'm the kind of guy I like to get to the track early and get everything all set up for the night. So that was a real kind of wrench in my normal plans for doing that. But obviously different size tracks, you have to change the rear gear to get stuff ready for that. But the setup, we didn't. We changed a bit just because of how slick it was in Fulton and how tacky it was at Humberstone. But a lot of things, we didn't really have a lot of time to go in depth too much. So I just kind of did a few quick changes to mask it. And we were quickest in our group at Humberstone. So I guess they worked pretty well to start off with. But the next big thing would be getting your tires all ready and that kind of stuff. Because I personally have all my tires grinded and siped and all that stuff ready before you get there. When you're doing it at the track, it takes a bit of time. So we use the same tires actually a couple times from Fulton and Humberstone, so it was a bit of a job getting those ready, but nothing we couldn't do. It was definitely reasonable and fathomable. We got it done. It was just no time to waste.
And going back a little bit, Nick, we had a pre-race show on our podcast where we had a couple of guys who were competing in the 360 Nationals at Shawinigan Speedway. Going back a little bit to that, you actually won one of the twin 15s there, which is pretty cool. And then the guy that we had on, Ryan Turner, one of your other fellow competitors, ended up winning the whole thing. But talk to us about that event. I know there was a decent car count, good competition. You went up against Americans and Canadians, so it was definitely a tough race.
Yeah, man, the Canadian Nationals, they're always something you got to circle in your calendar, and you got to make sure you have stuff ready when you get there. It's a lot of good competition and a lot of really tough cars to race against, and place you want to have your stuff together for that race. So it's nice. Fortunately, people like Brian, myself, and a lot of other Canadians that ran well, we run Shawinigan a lot through the year, so we're able to kind of know roughly what the track's going to do, know roughly what the car's going to need, and be ready for that big show. But it was a great weekend. We started off on a pretty rough note on the practice night, having a parts failure in our motor and having her done for the weekend, and us not having a spare. I was pretty sure I was going home. I was starting to load things up and getting ready to go until Glenn and GSR offered us one of their spare motors, which was very awesome, very thankful for them, and it works pretty well. So we put that in our first night with it. We tuned on it all day Friday, had to get it running properly. It was kind of missing a few other problems with it, but we won on Friday night, like you mentioned, which is pretty awesome. It's my first win on Shawinigan at 360. Been there a long time, and a lot of seconds, a lot of thirds. So it was pretty cool to finally be the first one across the line. And then Saturday, another great day. We after the heat race and going through the dash, I wasn't super confident going into the race, to be honest. But we changed a few things on the car last minute, and they seemed to really work a lot better in the feature. And having that second place, we were right there with Ryan. I was doing everything I could all race, just try and save tires, save the car, because quite often there, I feel at least with our setup, what we have going on, we get the radiator really hot, and then it doesn't work as well at the end of the race. So we kind of tried some stuff to mask that. I was just so focused on making sure we were at the end of the race and there for it. So we were, and it was an awesome experience. We just had a fuel pickup problem with our fuel cell. When it gets down so low, it doesn't pick up as much fuel as it should. So the motor was kind of sputtering. We couldn't really compete with Ryan, and I'm not trying to use that as an excuse. I don't know if we even been able to get Ryan, but it was would have been nice to be able to battle out with him. But he was lights out the last half of that race for sure.
Yeah, he was pretty untouchable that night for sure. All right, so last night I was texting with you a little bit, and Jacob as well. I was crunching some numbers. I told you about this last night. So in your last 12 races, you had one finish of 15th. If we throw that out the window, your worst finish was 6th. So in your last 11 races, so we're not counting the one where you finished 15th, you had an average finish of 3.1 in 11 races. That is unreal consistency. What kind of clicked with you and your team this year, especially in the second half? Like, you guys were you were super quick in qualifying every night. You were winning a ton of heat races and like finishing your races when you're starting up front. What was that? Can you explain kind of what happened in the second half?
Yes, I sort of can. I'll have all the answers for you, but I feel like I've always tried to be a more consistent driver. Like, I know we don't have quite the financial backing a lot of other teams have, so my mind's very best for our team. We can just run consistent nights every night, not do anything radical to try and jeopardize what we've got. It's what works best for us. So that's always kind of how I've run my racing and how we run our race team. But it's we just kind of keep working, keep trying stuff, keep digging, and I think it's very critical to take notes and have good ways of accumulating like all your data, like what the car does, when it does it, and why it does everything. And when you really understand why, it's much easier to repeat it again. So we kind of been doing last couple of years, doing a lot of trying little things and learning why things do what they do. So when we finally did try a couple things and hit on the right setup, it just kind of stuck with us. We were able to maintain it. And last half of the year, we just had we had a lot of good help with our crew, with my good friend Tate is on our crew, and Mike and Gabby came on the crew this year. My dad, he's always at all the races, and my brother helps when he can. And having those people, we never really had a big crew before with our race team, so having them really helps me be able to focus on my driving and focus on what to do to the car, not necessarily doing it. So that helps out a lot, and it's just everything just kind of rolled together. They say when you're hot, you're hot. We were kind of on a pretty good streak there, and it was pretty awesome to see a lot of our efforts finally paying off.
So let's go kind of back to the start, because you come from a racing family. I'm old enough to remember your dad racing. So tell us about your racing background, your family's involvement.
Yeah, for sure, man. Like my dad, he started racing when he was 27 years old. He raced street stocks and ran cast cars, which was now the NASCAR Canada Series. And their Sportsman Series back then, which was the same car, just smaller motor. He ran them at Delaware, a bunch of touring around, and he's got a lot of experience behind him. So it's been very awesome my whole life to have somebody like that who understands how it works. And it's obviously a little different with me racing the sprint car and him racing an asphalt car. And it's just it's different, but the principles are all the same. So you got someone who understands how to run a race team with consistency, like we have seemed to have, and we've had him around my back pocket, and we've always had the tools and things we need to go fast. So that's been awesome with him. And my brother runs the asphalt late model. So it's another thing that I work on with him, and it just keeps us all pretty darn busy. But it's pretty awesome, and there's some pretty awesome memories to have with all them for sure.
Yeah, and we're just going through some pictures of your dad's cast cars and late models, and I got Jake, your brother's pro late model, which I believe you're the crew chief on that car, are you not?
Yeah, I'm the crew chief on there. We run with the APC series full time, and then a few other races around as well as we can. So that's awesome to work with him. And all people think it's so much different between the two race cars, and it is a lot different. There's a lot of different things you're looking for, but like I said before, the principles are all the same. So you're still trying to make a race car go left as fast as you can. So you're just doing things differently, but there's a lot of similarities as well.
I wanted to mention about the family racing deal and how you've been involved with your brother's asphalt pro late model. What made you kind of feel like you should focus on dirt racing? You guys are in 2 different race cars and doing 2 different things.
Yeah, it's a good question. I get asked that a lot, and to be honest with you, I don't really have a good answer for most people. It's just kind of how it worked out. We both started in micro sprint cars, so like outlaw carts. We ran in Tilsonburg quite a bit with those at Chesterman's and the Tilsonburg Outlaws, and then we went from there. We raced a few times in North Carolina and raced around, but just kind of the timing, the way it was. My brother went from that into a legend car, and then that took him to a street stock, and I went right from that to the CR500 motors with them, and then went from that to the crate sprint car. So it's just kind of how it worked out. We had a good friend of ours who owned a crate sprint car and offered to put me in it my first year. And so my dad owned the motor, and then he owned the car, and that kind of got me started there. And then we had a lot of success then, so we just kind of never stopped. That's the only real answer I've got there. But I still enjoy both of them very much. I personally, I like sprint car racing a little more. I think for me, it just kind of suits me pretty well, and there's a lot of good things about both. That's where my heart's at.
You're done racing this year, Nick. You told us off camera. Do you have any plans for next year yet? Anything you're working on? I know sponsorship was kind of something that you were looking for this year. Just maybe tell us what your ideal plans are for 2025.
Ideal plan. That's a loaded question. We want to race as many races as we can, Shaun, but we'll just play it by ear. I think we definitely got set in stone right now. We'll be back at Sheridan with the 360 again, running there full time, and then we'll just play it by ear what we can do from there. I'd love to race in the U.S. more. I really enjoy it. I had a great time racing with the ESS a couple times this year, and I went run the Great Lakes guys in Michigan and Ohio too. They're awesome to race with, so I'd love to get down there as much as I can. But as you all know, that can take some good funding that we're just kind of lacking a little bit right now with our race team. So we'll stick to Australia for sure, and if we can run some more ESS races in that, that'd be awesome. But nothing 100% planned yet. We'll just have to see what the future holds.
And would you say, Nick, even with those difficulties and strategies, that the goal for you would honestly to be in a 410 down the road, given the right opportunities?
Oh, 100%. I would love to get a 410. We've even talked about it here with our team. We wonder if we should switch our efforts and just run like a part-time 410 in the States or keep running what we're doing up here. But we got what we're doing right now. It's working out relatively well, and I want to do everything I can. I want to race as much as I can. I love racing. I love being a part of it, and I want to do it all the time. So I'd love to be on the highest level possible. So we'll see what we can do in the future, do everything we can to get there. But right now we've also got our own little like part store and shock rebuilding stuff I'm doing here to kind of try to help make some money for our race team. So that's going well. I just love racing. I want to race as much as I can, and the 410 stuff would definitely be pretty awesome down the road.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I was actually going to ask you, Nick. Long term, is a 410 touring series or just kind of a pick and choose type schedule? Is that something you're ideally aiming for in your future plans?
Yeah, I think everyone wants to run with the Outlaws. They'll have them at full time. That's a dream of everyone's. But right now, it's still just a dream. We're trying to do everything we can to get there. But we would love to. We're working hard. But I think we have the people and the skill set we need to not to run well and just to do it. I think we would be able to at least start out and see where we'd stack up. But we're just lacking the funding a bit right now, and it's tough to get out there and get your name known. We're doing everything we can to do that. But yeah, for sure, I'd love to do something like that eventually in my future.
Nick, I just wanted to ask. Me and Shaun were both kind of talking about it. We look at your sprint car, and we just see reminiscence of Petty's 45 NASCAR car. Does that have any influence on the way your car looks? Because we look at old pictures and old NASCAR paint schemes.
Well, they do look extremely similar. It's not for any real reason, honestly. I've always thought that car looked awesome with Adam Petty, and it's more a coincidence we had the same number. When my dad started racing street stocks back in the day, he was number 45, and then when he switched to the cast cars, he went to number 52. So my brother chose 52 before me, so I just kind of chose 45 as one of my family's number and wanted to keep it going. And then the red color kind of came with a few of our sponsors with Pride Seeds. They have a red logo, so we kind of used the red to match them. And then it's more just a coincidence it ended up matching with Adam, but it's pretty cool, and I've always loved the look of his car. I think our car looks pretty good as well.
Obviously, with the season that you've had, you've been people have been taking notice of you. I know when I was down at Eldora for the Four Crown Nationals, I was talking to TJ Slideways, who's a big, for those who maybe don't know, he's a big sprint car media personality, and he mentioned that you were his pick to win the Northern Sprint Car Nationals, and you almost made him look like a genius doing that. Talking to some ESS American drivers, I know a couple of them are really excited that you were heading to Fulton because normally you don't do a whole lot of racing in the States, and people are kind of stacking themselves up against you this year. What does it mean to you to kind of be, being talked about by people like Jordan Poirier as like they're excited to race against you, and media personalities taking notice of what you've done because you have earned the flowers this year?
I appreciate that, man. It's something different. I feel like my whole life I've only ever ran the same class for 2 years, maybe 3, my entire life. I've always kind of moved up. I've always been the rookie. I'm obviously still pretty young, so I never been racing stuff. I've always kind of been, I don't want to say the underdog or something like that. We've always been kind of a rookie in our classes, so it's not often you hear that these people who have such respect, and I have respect for, with like Jordan Poirier and that whole family's done a lot, and TJ Slideways, it's a big name. I couldn't believe it. I heard somebody said that he picked me for the national. Like, honestly, couldn't believe it. I didn't know he knew who I was until I heard that. So that was it's pretty awesome. It's amazing for our small team and our family run team here to get recognition on sort of a national scale. It's amazing, and that's honestly makes me speechless. It's awesome. That's all I have to say.
I'm super happy for your success, Nick. You're a great guy. Your family, your friends, you guys are always having a great time at the racetrack. It's infectious. It's cool to see. And glad you got that win at Oshawa and finally get that monkey off your back. So we know that there's going to be more to come next year and the years to come. With that said, we do have our rapid fire segment brought to you by DJD Gear. Nick, I think you know how this works. We've got 10 questions for you. We're going to fire them off. And if you're ready, let's get after it.
I think I'm ready, boys. Let's see how she goes.
All right. We always like asking this one. So your dad raced number 52. Your brother races number 52. Why did you go with 45?
That was my dad's 3-stock number when he used to start racing out back in the day. So my brother drove 52 before me, and I kind of wanted to follow the family footsteps, but I don't want to be the same as my brother. So I chose the 45 just to kind of keep in the family and change up a little bit. All
right. What's your earliest memory at a racetrack?
Earliest memory. I remember going to watch my dad at Delaware running the 52, the gold late model, the one you showed earlier. I don't remember a lot of his Cascade. I remember when he was running the NASCAR Canada Series car there. I remember him actually leading a 300-lap race and getting dumped with 2 to go. And I remember how sad I was at 5 years old for that. So I remember a lot being hanging out in his shop back then. And that's the first thing I
got. Who is your favorite sprint car driver right now?
Ooh, right now. Can I say Dale Blaney or Dave Blaney? I know he retired, but yeah. I think I could still say him. I've always been a big fan of his because he always tries different things on his race car, some pretty awesome stuff. And I love seeing the ingenuity they have there. And he's quite the legend, so I've always been a big fan of his.
And which racetrack have you not raced at yet that you really want to get to?
Eldora. I love that place, man. I've been wanting to go there with the Great Lakes every year now. We just always seem to find a reason we can't make it there, but that's my bucket list track. It's something I've always wanted to do, and I think we'd be all right there. So we'll see. We'll try and get there next year.
Well, it looks like you know how to party there, so I'm sure you can figure out how to race there. Who would be better, you in an asphalt pro late model or Jake in a dirt sprint car?
Oh, don't make me answer that, boys. That's a tough one. I think my brother has a little bit of dirt sprint car experience. I think he would be pretty good in one. And I feel like I worked around late models forever. I've never driven one, never driven anything on asphalt before in my life. But I feel like I'd be able to run that around pretty good as well. So I think we'd both adapt to each other's racing pretty well.
We can just say dirt's harder, right?
You said it, not me.
Okay, speaking of your brother and the pro late models and stuff, what kind of race car haven't you raced that you would love to try one time?
Oh, there's a couple. I've always thought like a asphalt super modified like an ISMA car would be super cool just because of how much downforce they have and how radical they are. I like things with ingenuity, the things that aren't just your standard race car. But that would probably be my bucket list car to drive. But for one time in life, I'd also really love to run a late model around Delaware just because I've been going there forever. I've been going there since I was young, and I'd love to just see what it's all about, kind of follow my family's footsteps. But I'd love to try that, but I'd probably still choose super modified over that.
All right. Earlier this year, you were rocking the stash. How long does it take you to grow one?
Too long. Too long. It took me a long time to work on that. I wasn't winning, and I thought I would grow a stash, and we started running well. I finished second with the stash, and then I got mad I wasn't winning, so I buzzed it off, and then we won the first week without it. So I'd love to try it again, see if I can bring maybe some luck back, but I don't remember how long that went. I think I had it on for a month and a half, 2 months, but I don't know how long it took to actually start looking good.
I'll be honest, Nick, I'm glad it's gone.
Oh.
Well, all right. We like asking this one for guys from small towns. What's the best thing to do in Mount Bridges, Ontario?
Mount Bridges, Ontario has got a whole lot of nothing, honestly. There's we just got Tim Hortons a few years ago. That's pretty awesome. My uncle owns a pizza restaurant in there, so you go in there quite a bit and eat in there. But if you want to go anywhere cool, probably there's a couple places in Strathroy or London, which is about 15 minutes from here. But the new Dairy Queen Strathroy, that's probably my favorite thing to do right now.
All right. So last one, you almost won the 30K at the Northern Sprint Car Nationals. If you had have won that race and you could have bought anything, you can't say race car parts or anything to do with race cars. This is just something cool that you would want to buy with 30 grand. What would you have bought?
I was ready to say a 360 motor, and you told me I can't say any race car parts.
That's what everyone would say.
I don't know. I've always wanted to have a cool, like a cool 70s pickup truck, or I have a pretty sweet pool table.
There you go. We appreciate you coming on, Nick. Enjoy your off season. I'm sure you're still going to be working on the car and cleaning up and stuff like that. So we're looking forward to what 2025 and beyond brings for you, because you're a true young Canadian gasser, and if anyone is going to make it in the big time, man, it's going to be you. So wishing you the best of luck going forward, buddy.
I appreciate it, boys. Thank you so much for having me on the show. And yeah, we're already kind of getting things ready for cleaning up for this year, and 2025 build season will be here in no time. So we'll keep getting ready for that, and we'll see you guys then. Thanks for having me.
Yep. Anytime, buddy. We'll see you later.
Yeah.
Thanks, Nick.
Thanks, boys.
After the Scales is proudly presented by DJD Graphics. From commercial and personal vehicles to racing bikes and cars of all makes, models, and disciplines, DJD Graphics can fully customize your vehicle to suit your needs. For more information, contact Darren and visit his website at www.djdgraphics.com. Tell him Shaun and Jacob sent you to receive special rates.